Good morning. Welcome to the start of a brand new week. We are jumping into a new week together right here. Our teacher for this week is Charles Eisenstein, and I trust you will enjoy his work as much as I do. Right, if you're ready, let's get into today's message. Today's message is titled, "What miracles are you losing out on?" What miracles are you losing out on? Let's see what that means. Do you ever dismiss miracles as a fantastical occurrence reserved for saints or superheroes? You're not alone. There are many and varied opinions on the theme of miracles. Miracles are most often understood as violations of the natural world. But our teacher for this week, Charles Eisenstein, brings a twist to this understanding that I really resonate with. Danae, a very good morning. Hello, Beatrix, good morning. Somebody, good morning. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to the first day of a new week. Right, the first thought from Charles Eisenstein is, we have to create miracles, he says. A miracle is not the intercession of an external divine agency in violation of the laws of physics. A miracle is simply something that is impossible from an old story, but possible from within a new one. It is an expansion of what is possible, says Charles Eisenstein. Charlene, good morning. Happy Monday. Welcome to the new week. For the start of this week and during today's meditation, I offer you 3 reflections to spend a bit of time on. Find a bit of quiet time and ask yourself these 3 questions, and of course they'll be in the email today. And of course I'm going to remind you that putting pen to paper to record your responses is always a helpful exercise. Let's start with this quote first. Another thought from Charles Eisenstein. He says, "We are all here to contribute our gifts towards something greater than ourselves, and we will never be content unless we are." He's not just saying that we all have gifts to contribute to something greater than ourselves. He's also saying that we never find contentment when we're not contributing our gifts. Charles reminds you that you have gifts to offer the world, whether you think you do or not. Maybe you think you have a mundane job that doesn't add much value to the world, or perhaps you're a stay-at-home mom who feels the world is passing you by. It's easy to think that we're only contributing productively when we impact the world in big ways. But I have to remind you that even the tiniest hidden wildflower that has never been seen by a human eye brings a very unique and important gift to the world. And so do you. Craig, good afternoon. It's good to see you pop in, dude. Awesome having you here. You don't need to change what you do, but we can all make changes to how we do what we do. So the first question to reflect on today is, without changing what I do, how could I more clearly bring my gifts to what I'm already doing? Without finding that new job or that special thing that I should be doing, how do I approach what I'm already doing and more clearly bring my gifts to what I am already doing? And then let's get back to the miracles. I just love his basic explanation that a miracle is simply something that seems impossible from your current or old story, something that you were sure would never become available to you until you evolve enough to see possibility where before you only saw a dead end. So here's the second reflection for this week. Are you telling yourself dead end stories about your life? Are you creating your own blindness to what is possible to you? Take a pause and really sit with this question for a while. What miracle is my old story withholding from me? What miracle am I losing out on because of my old story? And of course, we'll get back to these questions during meditation. Sometimes it seems that it will take a miracle to resolve the current turmoil that we're experiencing in the world. Or is it just another example of how the disempowering story we tell ourselves blinds us to what is possible? The last quote from Charles Eisenstein for today is, "The gift economy represents a shift from consumption to contribution, transaction to trust, scarcity to abundance, and isolation to community. When we all truly realize our gifts and show up bringing our best to everything we do, then maybe this will become true. Then maybe we'll create a miracle together, a world that is based more on contribution and less on consumption." What is the miracle that we need for a healthier society to bloom? What is the impossible thing that becomes available simply because we choose to live from a new story? Keeping it simple and taking guidance from today's quotes, here is the third reflection for this week. What gifts am I still hiding from the world? We are each already a living, breathing miracle, and the only thing that prevents us from being a part of the great miracle that the world needs is hiding our gifts and telling ourselves disempowering stories. So if you're ready, you can close your eyes. Let's slip away together and challenge our own stories. Ask ourselves, what miracles can we bring? Let's start with the first few big breaths. Take a deep breath in and out. A deep breath in and out. A deep inhale and let it go. Deep breath in and out. One more big breath in and let it all flow away. You can continue the same breathing pattern on your own time. Every slow inhale through your nose gets drawn all the way deep down into your belly. And as you fill up your belly with air, also raise yourself up. As you breathe in, stretch out your spine, lift the top of your head toward the ceiling. And once you've reached your full height, let all of it go. With every exhale, soften. With every breath out, soften your spine, slump down your shoulders, and even drop your head. You can continue your full body breathing on your own time. Feel your body rise with every inhale. Feel your body fall with every exhale. And as you do, I'm going to remind you of exactly what it is you are busy doing. We all have at least some experience of telling ourselves disempowering stories. For the most part, most humans live inside of those disempowering stories, fully embracing the supposed truth that these stories tell, without realizing there might be other options available. Now, the word meditation means to become familiar with. To become familiar with. And here's how the process of becoming familiar with works. Bringing yourself to the silent space again and again. Giving yourself the opportunity to take a few big breaths during your day. The first thing we become familiar with is how our mind tells ourselves these disempowering stories. And when we become more familiar with this, we don't live in these disempowering stories fully anymore. We don't believe on face value the supposed truth of these disempowering stories. As you become more familiar with what your brain does, you become the observer that observes these old disempowering stories. And it might at first not change much for any of us, but it is the start. It is living in a space that realizes there are other stories we could be telling ourselves. And the more you bring yourself to this silent space, the more you become familiar with the empowering stories that you could be telling yourself. And if you continue to recognize the old stories and continue to reach for the new stories, slowly, the new stories become stronger and the old stories become softer. And from the new stories, what becomes available to you through the new stories, the old you would think that that's a complete miracle. We'll take the last few big breaths of this phase together, helping our bodies stretch, adjust, and settle down into as much comfort as possible for the rest of our journey. Take a deep breath in. As you release, drop your head all the way forward and roll out your neck muscles forward and to the left. Forward and to the right. Take a deep breath in. As you release, roll your shoulders forward in big, slow circles. Take a deep breath in. As you release, roll your shoulders backwards in big circles, nice and slow. Take a deep breath in. As you release, focus on your spine. Lean your upper body over to the left. Find where the edges of your back muscles are and gently lean into those edges. And lean your upper body over to the right. One more big breath in. And as you release, you can stretch or move or adjust any part of your body that still needs a bit of help settling down. Having softened our bodies into a state of presence, or at least becoming as present as we possibly can be right now, we can now turn our attention inwards and dive deep inside for the next part of our journey. With every next inhale, we'll hold our breath for a few short moments, followed by a really long, really slow exhale. If you don't have the time to sit for the whole meditation with us, then this is always a good place to stop. But if you are here for the whole journey, we'll take the next few big breaths together. Take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, make it a really long, really slow exhale. Take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, feel into your body. Feel how softness slips into your body and how softness settles in every part of your body. Take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, follow the downwards flow through your body. Feel your shoulders slowly falling. Feel your body slowly softening. And feel how you are slowly slipping deeper into you. One more big breath in and hold. As you release, feel yourself melting. Feel your whole body dissolving. Feel how you are slipping into a deeper level of surrender with every slow exhale. You can continue the same breathing pattern on your own time. Every slow inhale through your nose gets drawn all the way deep down into your belly, and you are invited to follow this journey. As you breathe in, feel the air flow in through your nostrils. Feel the air touch the back of your throat. Stay with your breath as it flows in through your lungs. And as you fill up the balloon inside your belly, feel yourself slip all the way in. Hold your breath, but hold it only for as long as it feels easy, followed by a really long, really slow exhale. With your next big breath, as you dive deep into you, see yourself standing at the start of a brand new week. See your toes sticking over the edge and see yourself ready to dive in. Take your next big breath. We're using this opportunity at the start of the new week to be intentional about how we walk into this week. We are reminding ourselves not to just walk into this week on autopilot, acting, reacting to the world from old patterns, but be deliberate about what we want our week to look like, and be ready to stop for a few big breaths whenever we need, so we can access wisdom rather than just old programming. So let's start with what is known about the week ahead. What is already in the calendar. As you take your next big breath and dive deep into you, remind yourself of what lies ahead this week. Take a walk through Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Remind yourself of some of the things you want to get done this week. Give yourself a reminder of some of the people you need to see this week. And remind yourself of some of the places you need to go this week. Take your next big breath. What are you creating this week? How do you feel about the question? What are you creating this week? The truth is, if we are not deliberate, then we are creating by default. And if we are creating by default, then we're probably creating by knee-jerk reaction, creating by reacting to our fears, an old pattern repeating itself. So this is an invitation to be deliberate. What are you creating this week? And don't get stuck in the weeds of what you think creating looks like. Sometimes the most important thing you could be creating is stepping outside of those old patterns. Perhaps the most important thing you can create this week is to catch yourself when an old reaction surfaces, and be very deliberate this week to choose a new response. That might be the most important thing we can create, is creating our new responses. So I'll ask the question slightly differently. What is it that you are pouring your energy into this week? What gets your focus this week? Take your next big breath. Take a moment to transport yourself to the end of the week. For a moment, stand in the next weekend and look back. When you get to the end of this week, what does your checklist look like? What are some of the things you'd like to check off of your list? I got this done, I got that done. And what are some of the things for which you'd like to say, I got started on this one, I made progress on that one? Take your next big breath. Charles Eisenstein reminded us this morning that we all bring gifts. We all have gifts to bring to the world, to contribute to something larger than ourselves. This doesn't necessarily have to be to some organization or big effort larger than ourselves. It could just be the way we take care of the people around us. So today's message brings 3 questions to reflect upon. And we'll do them right now. And perhaps as your mind has the opportunity to reflect on these 3 questions, perhaps they'll pop up again later in the week for you to reflect on. The first one is this: the reminder that you have gifts to bring, gifts to share with the world. Sometimes we feel like we have to completely change our lives in order to get to those gifts. I have to get a better job, or that special job. But the first question challenges you to consider, if nothing in your life changes, if what you get up in the morning and do for today does not change, how could you more clearly bring your gifts to what you're already doing? If nothing in your life changes, how can you decide to bring your gifts more clearly to what you're already doing? Take your next big breath. Our old disempowering stories tend to prevent us from bringing our gifts to what we're already doing. And sometimes, when we change the story a little bit, we realize how much differently we can approach what we are already doing. The next question, along the lines of Charles Eisenstein's reminder that miracles are things that become available when our story changes. The question is, what miracle is my old story withholding from me? The old disempowering story that I'm always telling myself. What miracle is that withholding from me? Take your next big breath. And then the last question to reflect on. Do I have gifts that I have not discovered yet? Are there gifts I can bring to the world that I have not discovered yet? Take your next big breath. We'll take the last few big breaths of this phase together, slipping out of the breath holding space and into the next. Take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, make it a really long, really slow exhale. Take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, feel yourself slip all the way through. There is no more attention on your breathing. You can sit all the way back, or even lie all the way back down and feel yourself just floating. And I'll read to you one more time Charles Eisenstein's message for us today. He says we have to create miracles. And a miracle is not the intercession of an external divine agency in violation of the laws of physics. He says, a miracle is simply something that is impossible from an old story, but possible from within a new story. A miracle is an expansion of what becomes possible. We are all here to contribute our gifts to the world, towards something greater than ourselves. And we will never be content unless we are. The word meditation means to become familiar with. May you become better and better familiar with the old disempowering stories that you have been telling yourself. May you more clearly recognize them as just that, just a story. There is no more truth in it than just being a story. But when we tell ourselves these old stories for so many years, then they carry a weight that feels like truth. May you also become more and more familiar with the new stories that you could be telling yourself. And perhaps you already are. May you become better and better at telling yourself the new stories. May you recognize the old ones quicker and put them down faster, and reinforce the new stories until they carry the weight of truth. And may you then recognize the miracles that become available to you from your new story. We have the last 5 breaths of gratitude to do together. With every exhale, I'll say my thank you, and I invite you to say yours. Take a deep breath in. Thank you for the privilege of standing at the start of a brand new week. Take a deep breath in. Thank you for the opportunity to take a moment to step into this week with intention, being deliberate, not being on autopilot. Take a deep breath in. Thank you for a moment to create clarity for what I want to see in my week ahead. Take a deep breath in. And thank you for trusting that when I hit those stumbling blocks, those obstacles in the week that I did not see coming, that I did not plan for, that I'll be ready to stop, take a few big breaths, and not act from an old story, not react from old programming, but that I can take a moment and wait for wisdom to help me decide how to respond to stumbling blocks and obstacles. One more big breath in. Thank you, beautiful people. Thank you for jumping into this week with us. Michelle, a very good morning. Happy Monday. Welcome to the new week. Thank you, Charlene. Thank you, Danae. Thank you, Beatrix. Craig, it was great to see you pop in. Wishing you all a beautiful day and a beautiful week ahead. See you again soon. Ciao, ciao.